Here's confirmation then of the combined practice times at the end of play this morning. Maveric Vinales, a 1:33.0 was fourth. Zarco fifth, Petrucci sixth. Good morning session for him. Malaysia Spargo and Lorenzo Savadori, both are brilliant men in the top team this weekend here in Assen for the absent and injured Franco Morbidelli, who we are led to believe, well, he's definitely had, because I spoke to Wilco Zillenberg.
Another little bit of innovative work going on here for Ducati. Gigi Dall'Igna always working away in that department as well. Yes, the recent slump in form, I guess you could argue, for Pecco Bagnaia means he'll have it all to do now. Early on, no, he's not. He's 32. Sorry, that's a trying to be prompt for Bagnaia of late. Long rear tyre, went for the medium rear in Barcelona, which didn't work out, and then he paid for a poor qualifying and a really poor first six to it for Ducatis. They've always struggled in the high speed change of direction here in Assen, but they'll be hoping for some direction. No inside the top 10 this morning. Andrea Dovizioso back on the RSGP machine as well in Misano this week. Busy and successful times right now.
Massimo, before we get on to here at Assen, I wanted your thoughts on another very competitive.
It's a moment to celebrate, but hopefully not to celebrate too much. I'm looking forward to for many more. From the sky wouldn't come, I would say, because I think Aleix lost a bit of time in that moment. But you know, it's you expect more, but it's okay.
You've just had Andrea Dovizioso testing the bike.
154 in 2 days. I was told that is a lot for Andrea. Precise on giving indication. Also tested some stuff for the end of this year and also pace. We didn't put any lap time to look forward to looking for the lap time.
That brings me to, when will you decide who is on the bike next year? I ask that. There's less and less of those stars coming from Moto2 to choose from.
Yeah, still we are not the first. It would be a critical month, and I think we will decide during that time.
Massimo, just before I let you go,
our wing gets some positive, also negative on the other side, but competitive. He knows this track. Finally, there is a track he knows, so hopefully keep the pace.
Massimo, before I let you go, something there to gather information.
A bit, yes. It's also true that the first. I think that on the other side we are still sort of more focused on ourselves, and we need that to become stronger in 2-3 years, where we can eventually get
ticking for Aprilia to make their decision on their full rider lineup for next year. You would suspect that, and then that's quite interesting, that revelation there by Massimo Rivola, though, that the proposal to the Gresini team was for 2021 spec, 4-year-old GP21s, albeit updated. So obviously they still felt that the older Ducati package was inside the top 6. Oh, look at how much polished Spargo is pushing that Repsol Honda into the falling, but yes, Spargo is still on the older chassis. Marc has gone able to see on circuit to notice the difference between the two.
The easy spot for Pole's side of the garage is Pole has his sort of ankle area on the bike up to the steering head. In that area there's a must be a foot and a half of carbon fibre black, so you can easily spot that. And his new chassis does not have that. Around that, the back of the chassis where the swing arm comes in, but also there's a real clear oval kind of dent in the chassis there on the new one.
Okay, thanks for that, Simon. We'll try and pick that out for you. Just about over half a second off what we were posting here this morning, so that's good news for those of you tuning in. It should be, and with plan, try and get that lap in actually early in this session.
Yeah, try and get that banker lap in. Interestingly, only 4 riders at the moment have started this second session with the Rossi and Oliveira. They are the 4 men at the moment. When you look at that yellow banded hard rear tyre, I wonder if it might just be a little bit too cool for the half.
Second to 2, Miguel Oliveira on a personal best lap. He's got up into third this morning. The man in form, probably to roll on, doesn't he, Miguel Oliveira? He brings to Assen a very impressive record. He's scored a win back in 2015, so this is a circuit that he does go particularly well at in both Moto3 and Moto2. And KTM, for the first time ever, they've never done it before, had podiums in 4 successive races. Summed up for one man up behind him. Yeah, 13th quickest this morning, Duamir. It is worth noting that only this morning, top of the time sheets again,
33.241 from the...
Oh,
that's huge! That's huge!
The biggest crash Marc has suffered since returning from injury here, and that was big.
That rear toe Puig, he's taking his time to compose himself here. Marquez, he just about clammed left, right, change of directions. That was one of the biggest high sides I've seen in MotoGP for a long, long time. That was a
so early. The rear came round on him as he tipped it into Mandevane corner.
That is like an old-fashioned... This is monumental.
Oh, goodness.
And he lands right on that right arm as well.
His crash now as well. It's been a disastrous minute or so for the Repsol Honda team. Turn 5, that's struggling.
And then that rear tyre just let go from underneath him in the most spectacular, horrible fashion. Turn 5, just picking up the gas by the looks of it on the exit, taking a bit of weight off the front tyre. He's livid with himself. There's going to be Marquez because that was a humongous high side. Can't remember.
Went out on that new chassis. He had a big warning, didn't he, on the approach to the final chicane, and rear came. There's a breeze as well here. He was pushing, really pushing to keep the hooks into Juan Mir, for the 8-time world champion.
You know when these guys are hurt, Steve. Marquez, it took him a while there to just catch his hips, his pelvis certainly got a real whack in that crash. I mean, that was just
slightly slower version into turn 5. Your thoughts, please, on Marc's crash?
Oh yeah, I'd much rather have Paul's replays of it. He did not expect it to happen. It caught him. It caught him off guard. You're watching coming in here, and it's like, for some reason, whether it's like...
Session are inside crucial top 10 places right now as rain starts to fall. Vinales is quickest in this session. Vicious crash as we watch it again. I hope that I'm just wondering if they'll be able to show us that on board again. Yeah. We should just point out that Miller's time in 9th at the moment isn't actually good enough to advance through to Q2 with spits of rain.
They need some dry track. Fourth.
Different swing arm pivot heights, and on the other side of the garage they had different, so they're really trying. And right now Jack behind a screen on one of his bikes, they're cutting the chain.
So Marc Marquez then makes his way into the garage, which is, I have to say, a positive sign all round. After that crash,
set of leathers on, change the kit and try and get back out there. He's not having any of that. He just walked into the garage.
You cannot predict the weather here.
We've heard, as you mentioned, heard Matt mentioning, we've heard that...
So the operation has been done good, so it was successful. And I had Franco on the line, just a bit dizzy from the narcose, you know, but he said the operation went well, and we have to see in a couple of days how it will solve.
That was my next question. Have you any idea when to expect Franco to be recovered enough to come back?
For tomorrow morning, well, that might be it for Q2. If it is, it's Vinales' answer, because that was the biggest test he could have ever given it. A vicious high side, 6-7 feet in the air, and he clattered right down on that right
garage. Here is Valentino Rossi then. Wasn't a bad morning, actually, not a million miles away. 8 laps completed here to pit lane. It's been a pretty decent weekend so far, certainly today, for Maverick Vinales and Fabio Quartararo. Mario Meregali is standing by.
Can't believe that the bike was not working. And for me, it was just, as I said before, starting from the...
Be able to cope with the wet tyres, so you may as well have a look.
Yeah, worth a look, because of course this will be the first time that these guys are trying. Worth a few laps just to try and assess how good the grip levels are of this new asphalt.
Lack of adhesion flag is a sort of the understatement of the century, as he then goes into turn 7 and 8 before heading through De Bolt, the left-hander. This is Maverick Vinales, the fastest man of the day. Of course, any laps with wet tyres will do for him. Lorenzo Sass, there was a session earlier in the weekend where he wasn't he top for a while?
Yeah,
fastest for a good while.
Saw him in the paddock. He's a very, very big lad. He's a tall fella. So, you know, generating temperature in those rain tyres in cool conditions will not wait that long for the optimum working temperature to get into those rain tyres, and that can sometimes the wait here, if any at all, to be honest, of wet weather conditions on a MotoGP bike. So no great surprise to see him out there.
No, of course.
Ducati's traditionally very, very strong in rain conditions. This young man certainly is. Alex Marquez, we know that from conditions that don't normally deter the young Spaniard.
Has now decided it's his turn to head out. Now these are conditions that have not favoured Maverick in the last couple of rained on Sunday. it gives us a brilliant chance. And Joan Mir as well, quietly confident in wet conditions now after...
Yeah, Marquez said yesterday when questioned in the pre-event press conference he's ready to suffer in the pursuit of glory. Turn number 11, when he wakes up tomorrow morning, every centimetre of his body's going to be in pain. It was such a big one.
It's full 17 seconds down on the best dry time we've seen.
We do recall, obviously, of course, they've got no experience of this to offer a lot of grip. And lap times were not too far away, sort of 10, 11, 12 seconds away from full dry.
Now another rider, much like Joan Mir, who really did struggle in wet conditions up until Le Mans, likewise. They found a setup to bring some of the slower machines into the frame, although Yamaha, let's be honest, have not had too many problems here in Assen.
Yeah, the fast change of direction, that's where the manoeuvrability, the agility of the Yamaha will really work, and of course it's so good. And Suzuki would be the two strongest packages here this weekend, but given KTM's recent surge to prominence, you would never want a MotoGP weekend, and then you always know he's going to be there or thereabouts, top 6, top 10 on Sunday.
Yes, well, it's fascinating to see that in the last 10 years, it's been Yamaha, Honda, Yamaha, Honda. Yeah, we've mentioned for some time now that they are at a disadvantage at the moment with this rear device, and we know that they're working over.
To the listeners, what I think is happening with Suzuki, like, you know how last year used to get almost anyone, they could keep coming forward, you know, and you could see them regularly on the podium, and it was around really thought that they'd keep going forward, you know. I know Alex fell, but they just didn't get to where you, Steve. I think it's something to do with that device where everyone else is getting a couple of tenths, even 3 maybe over a lap, being able to bring the rear. It lowers the centre of gravity and the things can accelerate, and I think losing forward otherwise, and they can no longer do it. And then you look at Sachsenring, it was probably the most obvious one to me. So 1000, I rode his stock 1000 there a couple of years ago, and for that GoPro lap, and you couldn't keep the front on the ground there because it's absolutely impossible to keep the front on the ground. You're swerving, trying to, and you know, then you got too much wheelie control, holding the power back, tenths, maybe even 3 down that front straight, and which makes it impossible to pass at the other end. What you've just lost up, and how hard is that when your competition's so stiff? And that's what I think. I think Suzuki, if they can turn on the races, but the problem is everyone else that turned up with that device took damn near half a year. It's not a good position.
No, thanks for your thoughts and observations there, Simon. Sounds about spot on to us here in the commentary device. Has taken a while to get things going. Suzuki, though, notoriously, because of course they perhaps don't quite have the resources testing, and it's normally something that works pretty quickly. I know for a fact, because I asked Sylvain Gintley, who has just been 2 or 3 bike lengths in every corner, which is really hard then to make it back up on the brakes. The one good thing about the rainfall full focus as he picks his way around his beloved Assen. Jack Miller has got a great fit, needs to be. He'll pop out, I'm sure. As Paul Espargaro's gone back out on circuit, he won't have done too many laps
in lower than in the dry. It's about the same now. Alex Rins and Lorenzo Savadori and Ika Lekawona, they're in the 45, so we're around that job with the resurface here in Assen.
As you just saw there, Marc Marquez, after that vision from the cameras, of course, as they probably try and remove parts from that motorcycle. That was the new chassis. They were monster high side for Marc Marquez. Here's Miguel Oliveira. At the moment, it seems, come rain or shine, because he was quite strong and safely inside that provisional top 10, courtesy of that early lap of 1:33.400 at the start of this session. Now the rain's starting to bucket down. It looks like this might be settled in now for the rest of the day. Yes, some frantic work. He did enough this morning to put a time in, good enough for Q2. The forecast suggests at the moment that for tomorrow morning, maybe a chance that we see changes to the top 10 tomorrow morning in FP3, but at some point...
Oliveira's last lap was super impressive. 43.776. I mean, that's only 10.5 time in the rain conditions. Like KTM, it's now working on all different kinds of tracks and in all different kinds of conditions. Watch out the rest.
Back traditionally through the careers of Miguel Oliveira and Brad Binder. Miguel's always been that 1 year ahead of Brad. In Moto3, the year after Mitsubishi, same thing happened. You just get the feeling, don't you, that KTM have got a couple of proper stars there, and then look, Pedro Acosta further down under Aki Aiho's guidance. And as we know, Matt, They will not sleep until right now. They are blessed with an abundance of hot young prospects, and it's always been the goal. They've dominated more racing. They won titles in Moto3. They've won a bunch of races in Moto2. They've won in MotoGP, but the CEO in Stefan Piera, he wants to be the kingpin in MotoGP. Pit Barrow, the motorsport director, another in this 2021 MotoGP championship chase. Simon, you got some thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you're just saying there. KTM Matt riders on the grid next year with high-level machinery to combat that. You know, that's a pretty good chance of
5-6-0 when it all went horribly wrong for him at turn 11. Maverick Vinales, though it is, that leads on combine practice. Vinales, Palispargo, Oliveira, Quartararo, Rins, Marquez, Juan Miyazako, Petrucci, and Ori, who were strong in the rain conditions. Pecco, Bagnaia, Jorge Martin, Alex Marquez, we know how good he is in the wet. Valentino Rossi was 7th placement. The American Garrett Gerloff on the 2nd of the Petronas Yamaha SRT Yamahas.
Oke, selamat sore guys. Ketemu lagi di channel kita CSRT. Salam kuku ireng. Kita kedatangan motor Supra Fit kecil ya guys, oleh Bapak Agus. Apa kena?
Girnya habis bang.
Gir
depannya habis bang.
Oh, girnya habis. Oke, kita lihat dulu ya guys. Oke, kita langsung lihat girnya guys. Cara mengeceknya, kita masukkan giginya dulu. Nah, kita lihat di bagian suri. Nah, itu guys, girnya muter sendiri, tidak barengan dengan as girnya. Ini dipastikan habis surinya nih, malah sudah disopak-sopak ini. Oke, kita akan buka dulu, kita cepot rantainya dulu, kita lihat masih bisa apa tidak, kita bikin suri lagi. Oke, begini guys, kita cek lagi, kita masukkan, sebelum kita masukkan gigi, dia ikut muter asnya ya nih. Tapi kalau kita masukkan gigi, nah hanya girnya saja yang muter. Oke, kita lihat, copot rantai dulu, kita cari sambungannya. Hop. Oke, kita lepas. Nah, oke, kita sudah lepas rantainya. Ini kita lihat, orangnya pergi baru berapa meter mencelit girnya. Oke, kita tinggal pasang rantai kembali seperti tadi. Set. Nah, gampang.
Bisa tahan lama nggak bang?
Oh, untuk motor biasa, untuk bawaan sehari-hari bisa tahunan ini pak.
Kalau buat angkutan gimana bang?
Kalau
masih
angkutan
tahan bang?
Ya minimal ya setahun lah.
Lama bang ya?
Oke.
Bisa langsung dicoba ini bang?
Bisa. Oke
bang, lanjut aja bang.
Sip. Oke, rantai sudah terpasang, kita coba seperti tadi, kita masukkan bijinya, ceklek. Nah, berat, berarti aman. Sampai nggak kuat. Kita gigi 3. Sip. Aman, seperti baru, cuman 50.000. Oke, itulah tadi konten kita untuk motor Suprafit, cara mengatasi asgir yang gundul, tidak makan, sudah haus dia. Guys, semoga videonya bermanfaat. Jangan lupa nonton video kita selanjutnya. Oke, bapaknya sudah. Oke, sip. Mantap. Jangan lupa mampir lagi ya, Pak.
Yang saya sering bang, boros bang.
Oke, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam kuku ireng dari CSRT.